Hello and welcome to Neuro-Heretical Wargaming. My name's Brenden. Today I am joined by...
Hi, it's Scott, and a Roomba is trying to suck on my toes.
You normally gotta pay for that.
Yeah, yeah.
But yes,
But
well...
yeah, hi, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Scott?
Better now the Roomba's driving away.
Well, sometimes better, sometimes not. You know what I mean?
Never stop improving, I guess.
I'm
But
now
I'm ready
realizing
for, to get some hobbying done. I don't know about you.
I am too. In fact, I would say I'm pretty ready to get some hobbying done. Because tonight I am working on the Terminator Captain for my Celestial Alliance.
Okay.
Because I just need to get him done. And then some what you call it? Just the Infernus
Oh,
Marines, and I will officially be done. So
well done
first things
done.
first, a nice little base layer of Retributor armor.
Did you ever get your hands on the Infernus Marines?
I didn't,
Ah, well, that's unfortunate now, ain't it?
even though I've been texting my supplier several times a week
Yeah.
for a few weeks.
I mean, your guy is right across the street.
I know. That's what makes it more upsetting.
I think at that point, just show up.
Tempting. Tempting.
Ding.
Chat, we're gonna go on a field trip today.
As we A, dox Jonathan, and B, live stream Brendan beating him up.
Fortunately, I know for a fact he's not home right now.
Oh yeah, he's probably well, he was also in that uh meeting that I was in, so I'm not sure if he was able to leave in time to go to choir. Hopefully, he has
Okay.
been enjoying that.
Good, good. But yes, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Small shout out to anyone that happens to be joining us from YouTube Shorts. We are trying that little feature out for the first time tonight. So we will see how that goes. I will be
Hopefully, it goes technically better than Horus Heresy did on Saturday.
the bar so low, it's practically subterranean.
Yeah, well, I think we
Ah,
fixed it.
as I
Maybe.
proceed to mess everything up. Only maybe.
Uh, well, I need to test it still, but it looks like we got, at the very least, we got Perky, we got Tristan, we got Wanting Fire. Tristan, I'm sorry that your Roomba doesn't do that for you. Get either a better or a worse Roomba. I'm not really sure what the answer is. Because mine's one of the old, well, okay, mine, well, I guess it's technically not the one that you sold me, Brendan, because that one died of a poop incident.
As I've heard.
But it was the exact same model because they're cheap. So it's one of the cheap ones that are just kind of like lumbering around and just run into things to figure out its course.
And say mine doesn't typically do that. It started to do that more recently, I've noticed. It seems to get confused. It has actively run into my foot a couple times now, which is only moderately upsetting. Okay. Zoom out a little bit. See if that looks a little bit better on the short stream. It was kind of funny because it used to send us like little pictures and be like, "Hey, is this an obstacle?" And it would just be like Augie, just sitting
Hey,
there. Kind of, but so I guess if I remember correctly, I wanted you to categorize like temporary obstacle that like moved or like a permanent one that it could just ignore going forward. I think you could tell it to like go through again and do the go back to where the temporary one was, if I remember correctly.
that is pretty nice.
It's a nice little feature. I like it.
Maybe
Yeah.
if I had that, the poop incident wouldn't happen, but
Well, that's the
such
other
a cheap
thing
ass.
is the camera was able to identify where poo.
Oh, see, it's a lifesaver.
Yeah, especially with the new puppy. There
Hmm.
were multiple times where we're like, "Where? What do you mean there's stuff there? I didn't even know there was poop there." We go
Yeah.
look, and
Hey,
sure enough,
that would have saved me a $200 textbook.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
That's what I get for just like throwing things around as I did homework. It's just like my desk was covered in textbooks, so I put one of them on the ground.
And it found it.
Found it. It found it. Yeah. Got home from work and it's horrifying. His own little like beast of Nurgle.
When keeping it real goes wrong. But yes, looks like Perky is up to some shady business. Of course he
As
is.
is tradition.
Perky,
Perky
I
had
heard.
most shady
Per-
business yesterday.
Say, Perky, I heard you and Scott had a Spider-Man meme moment in a different stream. And then looks like Wanting Fires working on Furnace Marines. Very nice.
Nice.
Do like the
Glad to
color
see
scheme I've
those.
seen so far. Like I said, hopefully we'll have those featured here again soon.
And then Tristan's working on something, maybe ordering a Roomba. Which reminds me, speaking of Tristan's poor decisions, um, I am painting a bunch of pallid witch flesh right now.
Why would you do that to yourself?
Because I'm working on the Sororitas,
Oh,
and they're like, for Order of
Sacred
Sacred
Rose.
Rose, Sacred
Yep.
Rose. There's two different rose ones and several sacred ones, so I always get them mixed up.
They're not the most creative of names. I'll grant you that.
But like, so their armor is white, but the gloves and like the corset situation is just like a slightly off-white.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, the best tool for that is everyone's favorite, pallid witch flesh.
I don't even know why you'd do that to yourself. When I paint white these days, it is Gracier Prime, a dry brush. I think it's Paraxi White. I have to pull it up. And then, or no, it's Gracier, Apothecary White to get some gray in the hidden parts, and then Paraxi White as a dry brush over it, and then that's it. They're done. I mean, you see my demonettes.
Yeah. Well, I found uh, a good like recipe from Duncan Rhodes, where it's just white scar or trooper white, I guess is his equivalent. Then just the apothecary white contrast.
Apothecary White's nice. You just have to like. I need to get one of the shakers like you have, because it. Oh, why am I doing that? I don't need to do that. I can do it over here though. Because Apothecary White, the gray part can settle pretty easily.
Yeah,
So I
I
find you
will
really have
say
to prep
the
it.
little paint shakers are kind of worth their weight in gold.
I think you've mentioned that before. I need to get one eventually. They're a little pricey for what they are, but they
Yeah, I
definitely
think you can
seem worth it.
honestly get you might be able to get them cheaper from like I don't know, because I think they're the same thing as what they use at nail salons to mix up, paints for nails.
Mm-hmm.
So you might be if you look up something like that, you might find the same thing for cheaper.
It's fair. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where like depending on what you call it when you order it affects the price.
Fair.
You might be able to get
Uh,
one from like a school supply place, because isn't it? I feel like
Also used for mixing like chemicals.
I was gonna say, isn't it used for like it has scientific applications? So I feel like if you can find some sort of like school supply, you can probably find some for relatively cheap.
Yeah, but schools pay a lot for things.
That's true.
Let's see. Painting tombstones to use as scatter sticky terrain with sisters. Ooh, nice. I'm excited to see how that comes out. We are actually doing a terrain day this Saturday for the studio.
Allegedly.
And the hope is that by the end of it, I don't think we're going to get it done on Saturday, but by the end of it, we should have the building blocks for our trenches
Go team.
for either Trench Crusade or use them for 40k or just honestly whatever. So that'll be neat. I'm excited for that. I always
Yeah.
like building. I always like making terrain.
Till we burn
Also,
down
it'd
your
be nice
house.
because there's been a just a giant 8 foot by 4 foot thing of insulation foam in my sunroom for like 6 to 8 months now.
Honestly,
Just
the
waiting
fact that it
to
hasn't like
part.
severely warped is moderately surprising.
We're just gonna like pick it up and it's just gonna disintegrate in our hands.
Solid like non-zero chance. This guy is a lot more hard to reach places than the actual Terminators did, which fortunately makes sense. Also reminds me, since Tristan is here, does remind me I need to decide if I want to take that spot for the boarding patrol
Oh,
in
that'll be fun.
Adepticon.
We'll have to do some boarding patrol, learn to plays.
Yeah, because I have no idea.
I've played a small handful of times, but it was like at the beginning of the edition, so
Yeah, I know we played a couple of times when the book came out, and I tried to make the Imperial Navy breachers work. And then
because you think in theory this is their realm. This is where they're supposed to be.
Chris brought Chosen. And I was tilted off the face of the planet because I couldn't do
Chris,
anything to these Chosen that he spawned right next to me.
Chris pee smacked you,
I was a
as he likes
smidgen
doing.
upsetting. I mean, to be fair, I did beat him at the last tournament, so I can't say too much.
Yeah, you had a tournament on Saturday.
I did. I didn't really talk about it on the stream because it was chaotic and it
Yeah,
was
we
hard
had
to
our
have.
hands full. We had our hands full.
But side note, thank you all for showing up for that. It is one of our most successful streams actually in months. So that meant a lot. So thank you for that. But yes, I went to a tournament. I ended up taking third place, which was pretty nice. That's typically where I'm. That's I wouldn't say typically where I'm at. That's not true. I'm very much a. When I go to tournaments, or at least to RTTs, right, where you have 3 games, I'm good for 2 games. I will win 2 of the 3 games. Of that, I'm fairly confident going in every time. At least at our local RTT, right? That's probably not true for any GTs or anything like that. But local RTT, I am good for 2 games.
Okay.
And it ended up being the case this time. But I still ended up taking third because only one person had gone undefeated the entire one, because it was about 10 people. And then it kind of came down to like scoring and like where you won.
Yeah, because I found out during my GT that losses later in the event count less than losses earlier in the event.
Which I don't know, I feel like it kind of makes sense because it's like, in theory, later in the event, you're playing against more difficult. I don't know.
Yeah, in theory, especially if there's enough people where they do matched pairings, later in the event you should be facing people of similar skill level.
Yeah, which also
Because if you
mean
beat someone round one, you could have ended up, or if you lose round one, it could have ended up being the person that wins the entire event.
yeah.
All right, that's not really good judge, right? Because especially round one, that's just crapshoot.
Shift that over again. Sorry. Yeah. And I mean, like, the RTT I was in is actually probably a fairly good example of that because, like, literally my table decided second and third. Like, so the guy I had got matched up against had won one, lost one. I had won two. Had I won, I may have had a chance. I don't think I really ended up having a chance at first. I think Jade just would have outscored me. I was getting like 75 consistently, and she was like higher in the 80s, and I think she got a 90 in the last one. Um, so she probably still would have won the tournament.
She's a very good player.
She is a very good player. She wins the tournaments quite often. Um, anyway, she probably still would have won. While had I, but because I ended up losing, I ended up going 2-1. The other person ended up going 2-1. I don't know if he had more points than me or if it was just because he beat me that it put him above me, but he ended up taking second and I ended up taking third. So, like, it was kind of interesting. Both of us got top 3 out of him winning.
But hey, do you feel so? What'd you run? Talk about your list. Talk
Um,
about the games.
well, if you have seen our Sunday stream this week, our doubles tournament, you actually saw part of this list. It is a Bastion Task Force list built around 2 20-man bricks of Black Templars Crusader squads, each with a lieutenant in them, so they both have lethal and sustained hits. And Bastion Task Force is designed to be the battle line list. Like, it wants you to run a lot of battle line. And
You know what Black Templar have?
no, I got more gold.
A lot of quality battle line.
Of my list, I had what was it? I think so. I had the 2 20-man bricks. I had my Sword Brethren, which I was able to make into battle line through an enhancement. So they got it. And then I had some Assault Intercessors and some Infiltrators. So all my infantry except my Infiltrators, and I guess characters once they inevitably lose their bodyguards, all of my infantry except them is battle line. Now, why would that ask, you might be? What makes it the battle line detachment for Space Marines?
I don't
Well,
know, Brenden. What does it?
well, curious viewer, I'm about to tell you if you would let me talk.
Nah, I don't know if I can do that. You gotta
But
get the place of talking again.
what
Well,
it
while he's saying these things,
I'm gonna come over there, Scott. We're gonna go on a field trip to Scott's house.
he's gonna dox me after he doxes Jonathan, and then record himself beating me up after he records himself beating Jonathan up.
There's no way in which this goes poorly for me. Anyway, the what Bastion Task Force does is it gives you army wide either advance and charge or it gives you army wide advance and charge, advance and shoot, fall back and charge, and fall back and shoot for all battle line units.
Does it give you fallback, shoot, and charge, or do you have to choose?
I don't think it specifies that you have to choose. I think you can fall back, shoot, and charge because they're separate things.
Well, I'll read the verbiage, but carry on.
Okay. I mean, I'm not doing it because I just don't have that many. I do like my current list, which I might change up because it really, against anything that's not like a Space Marine or weaker, it doesn't really do much. But I am running an Intercessor squad. They're the only ones that would really want to fall back and shoot or really can. So everyone else just has pistols. So it's kind of like, meh.
Well, I mean, I know you can fall back and shoot, but can you fall back, shoot, and charge? Or can you only fall back and shoot or fall back and charge?
I'm pretty sure I can do both. But what I'm trying to say, Scott, is that I don't know because it doesn't come up.
Okay.
The list doesn't care. More specifically, because the list is built around the 20-man Crusader bricks all have chain swords and whatnot.
It is apparently fall back, shoot, and charge, which is really nice. Not
Okay.
fall back, shoot, or charge.
Yeah, because it's like 2 separate entries that say specifically which one you can do.
Yeah, the second entry is for doing actions.
Yeah.
But carry on.
Yeah. Anyway, But yeah, it is. So it's built around that. Then it has a repulsor executioner and a ballistic dreadnought for some firepower, just to help me deal with heavier vehicles. Because yeah, 80 some odd chainsword and power sword attacks can do a lot to vehicles, but it's not the most reliable. So you guess you need something just a little bit stronger to try and get through. But yeah, overall it did pretty well. So the first game I played, Bird had his Night Lords list. He was running the new Chaos Space Marine detachment. That's like basically you play actual Space Marines. So
Yeah.
he was running that. He's still learning them a little bit. I really want to give actually kind of a big shout out to Bird in that match specifically because going into round 3,
Want to duplex him after.
Going into round 3, I've showed Scott this, and it's posted in our Discord, by the way, if you would like to join that. Going into round 3, Bird had like 12 to 13 points. Bird was behind, to say the least. Due into no small part to the fact that he like sat on sabotage for a good like 3 turns after he drew it. I think he drew it like.
Sounds like you got tunnel vision.
Yeah, like he drew it turn 1. Tried to get it, but obviously advance and charge. I can smash right into any midfield objective and beyond super easily. So I did that, and it obviously failed. But he decided to hold on to it. It took him until like turn 3 or so to actually score it. So that's like 2 turns of a primary or secondary he couldn't score. So that helped a lot. But I do want to say he did actually manage a pretty good comeback. It was too late. I was still ahead by a good like 10 to 15 points by the end of it, but he did end up getting close to tabling me, and he did get a lot of points back made up in those last few turns. It was just a little like too late
at that point.
Yeah.
That's why you gotta be careful of tunnel vision.
Yep. It's just kind of one of those things. It's kind of hard to learn, but you just got to learn that, like, at least with 10th edition and how the objectives work, you have to be able to identify, can I score this? 1, can I score this at all? Right? Like, is this doable? And 2, I guess kind of a part 2 to that, is it doable in a reasonable amount of time? Because it's possible that you draw another secondary that is more doable and ultimately scores you more points in the long run.
Which, fair.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a fun game. It was cool to see Noise Marines specifically. Because I do want to pick because those are the last cult unit I need to pick up. So I was kind of curious how they ran. In addition to that, so after that, I played Jared, who was running a Raven Guard list.
Oh, I didn't even know he had Raven Guard.
Well, he had Death Watch. Then he got Jareded.
Well, I mean, they came back. They got better.
They did come back, but I think at that point he had already committed to just playing Raven Guard instead. He's got the actual like Raven Guard characters and everything. So I played him. Honestly, I thought that one was going to be over. I thought that one was over like turn 1, or I guess, yeah. Okay, his turn 2 after my turn 1. I thought it was over in his turn 2. I thought he had me. So one thing that you can do with the Raven Guard detachment, and you can either in the kind of generic one that's in the codex, or the special one that was released last year, you can give Terminators infiltrate.
As Bird has exemplified on the channel, that's scary.
That is very scary. And he infiltrated a whole bunch of assault Terminators right onto an objective, right? And my list basically, for all intents and purposes, kind of picks 2 objectives and like goes for it. And so I psyched myself out on one of the objectives pretty bad. And like didn't so like I saw those Terminators. Like I had a 20-man brick of Crusaders, but I was like, they can chew through me if I am not careful. So I made the decision to wait. And that was not a good decision because he just moved them up and charged the Crusader brick the next turn.
That's
And
giving him fights first and letting him take a decent chunk out before you got to do anything.
essentially wiped out the entire squad except the
Oh,
lieutenant. Yeah, it was not good. And it was even dumber because the one that had the AC -2 enhancement. So I really could have done more. But like I said, I psyched myself out. And yeah. So I was like, well, that's a lot of points. That's really hard to come back from. But there was a bit of a silver lining. So he brought them forward. He brought in some other stuff as well. Specifically, remember, he brought them forward. He killed that unit. But when he did that, he had they're basically in my deployment zone, right? They are way across the board. Which means I was able... Yeah, because he did that. He dropped a... that was turn 3, I think. I don't think he dropped anything in turn 2. Or did I go first? I might have gone first. I think I went first, actually. So this was his turn 1. Anyway. So, but that meant going to my turn 2, or my next turn, whatever it happened to be, was that his big old bunch of dudes were in my deployment zone. Right next to my Repulsor Executioner and my Ballistas. So I put the Ballistas and Repulsor Executioner around them. But in the Repulsor Executioner is my Sword Brethren squad, who go into elites really well. And because all the weapons are damaged too, they don't care that they have that extra 4th wound. For them, they are the same. So I was able to lay into them with all the guns from the Repulsor Executioner and do a fair bit of damage. I was able to do... And then I charged in with the... whatchamacallit? Sword Brethren and Friends, who got full rerolls from the Castellan that I remember. And reroll 1s to wound because they had shot them with battle line. And therefore just decimated the rest of the Terminator squad. So it kind of ended up being kind of an even trade, all things considered.
right.
But then there were 2 other kind of big things. One, he dropped a couple dudes next turn. Oh, that's what I managed to do turn 1. He had some eliminators on the objective, which I could just barely see with the Ballistas. And the Ballistas was able to take them out. Which was pretty big, so he lost a unit to actually like sit and hold the objective that the Terminators were on after the Terminators left. So that was decently big. Then the next turn, he had to drop one of his reserve squads onto the where the Terminators had been, so he didn't lose that objective long term. And then he dropped another of my back line to start putting pressure on my home objective and then onto my repulsor. But the ones in the back line failed the charge.
Ooh.
Yeah, so they got caught in the open. They got hit hard by the repulsor next turn, because of course they did. Ended up being kind of a non-factor. I think he had some Vanguard vets on the side of the board that he like brought up and brought into the Ballistas. They ended up not doing a whole lot to the Ballistas, and then the Sword Brethren were able to swing into them and take them out. And then finally, the other big thing was on the opposite side of the board. He had another Terminator squad. I think this one was just a regular squad. At least, or no, they were the Twin Lightning Claws. And so that one actually got Jared a bit tilted, because on that side, I had the 20-man Crusader squad, but I was kind of holding them back to see like where he was going, so I could like throw them at the center or throw them on that side with the Lightning Claw Terminators. And so I was like, okay, I have the Emperor's Champion and Assault Intercessors in an Impulsor on that side. I can just move that up, go ahead and throw it into him and see what it does, and kind of go from there. because I have the option to back them up with the Crusaders if I need to. So I drop him. They're battle line, so they can advance and charge. So they move up real close, get basically into a no fail, and they charge in and proceed to do just unspeakable things to these assault terminators.
No.
Okay, but get this, Scott. For like 5 turns, this went like for like basically four of the 5 turns of the match. This like Terminator, Emperor's Champion, and eventually his repulsor were all in like a melee for a good chunk of the game. Because so what was it? I went in, I had fights first. I think the Interceptors actually managed to get like 2 of the Terminators, which isn't bad. And then the Emperor's Champion is damage 3. And he got like 4 Terminators. Like 4 or 6. He got a lot. He like Jared's dice were Jared's dice, and they failed him big time. And so the Emperor's Champion started laying waste to these guys. And eventually I did lose the Assault Intercessors. But because the Emperor's Champion can negate damage once per phase when he fails a save, it was just like constantly turning it down. And I think by like round 4, the Emperor's Champion was finally down to like 2 wounds, but he still managed to finish off the Terminators. So that entire side of the board was like my Impulsor legitimately just sat on the objective on that side of the board the whole time, not doing anything because it didn't need to do anything. It was genuinely impressive.
Did Jared thank you for the memories, even if they weren't so great?
He did try to use Tank Shock on the Emperor's Champion. It did.
Kind of memory.
It did not work well.
I don't know who Jared hurt in the past.
Man is just unlucky. Man, it like upset some sort of dice manufacturer. I don't know. But yeah, so I ended up winning that one. I was surprised. I was like, sweet. But I was also like, oh no, I'm only good for 2. Which means I'm probably going to lose the next one. And sure enough, I drew a Votann list. And shout out to Matt, if he happens to be watching for some reason. Great opponent. I like playing you. I don't like playing against Votann. I promise. I know I was poopy. It was not an opinion on you in any way, shape, or form.
Votann aren't even that bad anymore. They're not like because okay, so like I'm remembering back from the Votann reveal where they could just shoot back a full ballistic skill all the time. It's like, oh, great, this is great. It was wonderful. Wonderful. I'm glad my Tau, the premier shooting army, is being outshot, and then they also have melee too to deal with me.
I did like. Did you ever hear their reasoning for why Votann were so good in 9th and when they first dropped?
Oh yeah, because they hadn't won a tournament in years. Like, they needed a buff.
Well, no, the thing was they had because remember how oppressive, like utterly oppressive, Drukhari were at first were in 9th for the entirety of it.
Yes.
Especially when they came out. Yeah, the Votann Codex got play tested against the Drukhari Codex.
Ah.
Yeah.
Which okay, that's valid.
Yeah, and then Drukhari had gotten nerfed by that point. And then Votann was starting to come out, and I think GW made like a day 1 patch, and they're like, we made a series of terrible mistakes. If I remember correctly, I think Votann got outright banned at some tournaments, like before release.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Because there was the pre-release box, and the day 1 fix didn't actually happen until the full codex dropped for everybody.
That's a side note.
Yeah, they were scary. They were a bit scary.
They were.
I love the aesthetic, but they are scary.
I mean, who doesn't love a good NASA punk?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just like retro futurism, space age punk.
I really need to find a way to do a. Also, side note, we need to play that one Moon miniature war game.
Be funny. I guess we could see if they have it at Adepticon.
Yeah, we could. I forget what it's called off the top of my head though. I saw it recently while I was cleaning out my tabs. Scott, do you have the kind of ADHD that means you have a lot of tabs open on your like phone browser?
Yes, until I one day decide, oh, I'm going to clean up all these, and then I still have like 15.
I mean, I can usually get down to one or two because usually one or two of them, like, okay, actually, I was saving that for a reason. But like, I had like 150. It
So decent amount of tabs.
was a lot of tabs.
A lot of tabulation going on.
So that I saw it on there, and as I paused for a moment and I was like, I should probably write that down or something, and then I just didn't.
You didn't?
It's literally called like Lunar or something, I think.
Lunar warfare. Lunar combat.
But it looks fun. The models look very nice.
Yeah, true, true.
Oh. Perky, I now have that song stuck in my head. Thank you. Once again, making me feel old.
Oh? Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Tracking.
you got there, Scott. You got there.
That's, oh god, who is that? That's...
It's not Green Day.
No, it's not Green Day. It's, ah, crap.
I think it's the one that's actually from Oklahoma, funnily enough. I can't. All American Rejects?
Fall
No.
Out Boy.
Fall Out Boy.
Like, I could think of the album cover because it has a sheep on it. And it's like a primarily blue album, but it has like a sheep on the middle of it. So I could place that. I just could not remember the band name. But yeah, yeah, that's Fall Out Boy. I think their lead singer is releasing a video game,
Oh,
or is like fun like the lead like director on a video game or something. Some kind of like Valorant like shooter.
weirdly enough, it's not. It's like musicians tend to like jump over to other stuff. I feel like pretty easily compared to like other creatives, if that makes sense. Because like, what was it? So I don't think it was Ringo. It was one of the other Beatles funded like Life of Brian and like a couple other oh, what's the term or what's the place? Monty Python skits. Like after they had their money, I don't, I don't know. I feel like it
Apparently,
happens surprisingly regularly.
apparently I got Fall Out Boy and Imagine Dragons mixed up for the video game thing.
Oh, now you mention it, I do
Because
think I've.
Imagine Dragons is like really big into their lead singer is really big into League.
Mm-hmm. And it kind of makes sense. They have a very kind of techno sound, relatively speaking. Very synthesized.
Oh, but Fall Out Boy's lead singer was in Has Been Hotel, not in.
Oh,
You don't even notice because he doesn't have a song until like the very last episode. But as soon as he starts singing, it's like, oh, yep, nope, that's him.
that makes sense.
It's like, yeah, 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 could have. You know, if nobody told me this, I would have given it away.
It's like when you kind of like when you find out that an actor is actually British and they're just doing a really good American accent, and you're like, oh.
And you get upset. It's like, oh god, they were British the whole time.
Honestly, like half the time, if they're doing like a Southern accent, I like half the time they're probably actually British. It's apparently an actually relatively easy accent to like move into if you already speak with some form of a British accent.
Yeah, like what's his name? Daniel, not Daniel. Who's the one who was James Bond? Is
Ah,
that Daniel Craig?
I think it's Daniel Craig. That sounds right.
But he has that uh detective character for Knives Out.
Oh yeah,
He's just a southern lad.
I think the big one for me was the guy from The Walking Dead. The main character, he's British, or like the
Oh, is
dad.
he?
Yeah, he is.
I only ever watched season 1 of that.
Yeah, you probably watched the best season.
That's
Um,
what I've heard. I just heard it gets like incrementally worse from there. It's like, ah, okay, well, that's
I
enough of that then. I
I
don't want to
started
miss that.
watching kind of in the second season, and the second season was just like the first season. First season's also kind of a mini series. It's only like 5 or 6 episodes, but because of that, it's really like fast paced, relatively speaking, and it's really good because of that. And the second season is so much slower. They get to a farm, and then they're just on a farm for the entire season.
Farming. Like a
And
bunch of farmers.
and then things happen, and they go to a prison, and they're just on a prison.
Spoilers.
It's like somewhere between. I don't remember when I stopped watching. It was either halfway through season 3 or halfway through season 4. They did like a winter break to come back with the new year, and I just stopped watching. I never bothered to watch after that. It sounds like I probably jumped ship at a good time. But yeah, that main guy is British. The guy Walter Goggins, who plays the Ghoul in Fallout, or Uncle Billy, Baby Billy on shoot, what is it? Righteous Gemstones, is also British. And that one,
Righteous Those is good.
it's pretty funny. The first episode does not end the way I thought it was going to.
Also, his name is Walter Goulgans, thank you.
Exactly. Like Brits can fall into a southern accent surprisingly easily, which is kind of ironic because a lot of like the very like aristocratic southern accent, right, was specifically designed, like they very specifically emulated like British accents, British noble accents. So it's kind of ironic, actually. You could say they took their jobs.
Need to see it.
They took their jobs. They took their jobs. Anyway, I can say it. I'm from places like that.
Well, in regards to the tournament, I will ask. Do you feel because I remember because we like got off track, right? But
Yeah, that's fair. That's why the
post
people
tournament,
watch. That's what they're here for.
do you feel like you learned anything? Do you
Um,
feel like there's any improvements to your list that you'd want to make?
I feel like I think the list needs some kind of, excuse me, might need a more anti-elite option. I feel like I've got like light infantry. Obviously, I can handle, right, and I can handle elites. Like I was able to handle the Terminator, 2 squads of Terminators pretty handily, but I really struggled going into um the Votan. I really struggled going into. Well, I mean, the big thing that got me with the Votan, like obviously blast weapons can be a threat, right? But a lot of blast weapons tend to be low AP, damage one, right? We're like, yeah,
Sometimes.
most of the time I would say, and like, yeah, that's scary. That can be scary going into a 20-man squad, but when they're all Space Marine bodies, it's not as scary. However, Votan have access to a plasma gun with blast and a detachment that can where it can be made AP4. And if you're getting 20, he got like 24 wounds through twice, and it's like, what am I supposed to do? Like, what can I do? Like, if it's AP-4, even my like actual Space Marines can't do anything against that, so they die now. like,
Yep, they just die.
like that's all they can
Assuming
do.
there's no way to give them a feel no pain or an invuln or something.
Not that I'm aware of. Yeah, it's the only way to give an invuln, I think, on like a Space Marine battle line unit would be with a librarian, and that's a non-starter.
Right. That's what I was thinking. First, like, oh, librarians could.
Yeah, yeah. That was actually something I did want to do. Okay, real quick. Back in the Index days, before Black Templars had a codex, you could. So the only restrictions for taking librarians was if you were running the Black Templar detachment, if you were running Righteous Crusaders. Growing that, you couldn't take uh, growing that you couldn't take librarians. So outside of that, you could, and that meant hypothetically, and that's actually where this project started with wanting to do Celestial Lions. Was like, oh, I can run a librarian in the Vanguard, Raven Guard detachment, and infiltrate a brick of 20 Crusaders with a 4-up invuln in the middle of the board.
What's wrong with you?
I like to think what was going right, because I think a lot was going right. And that was like, oh, I'll paint him up as a Celestial Lions. They're sons of Dorn as well. They have a very good relationship with the Black Templars. It would make sense. And then they took it away before I even got a chance to buy the model. And I was sad.
You could add an Inquisitor to the squad, because they can attach to any battle line, though it is only a 6-up invuln.
Well, and the trade-off there is I lose lethals.
Yeah.
And lethals on chainswords is pretty big, and then being able to punch up. You know what I mean?
They can only bring one. They can only attach one character.
Well, I mean, typically you can attach more than one character if there's a specific carve out for it. So, like, lieutenants can have, like, chapters, like captains or chapter masters attached to them, but because there's a specific carve out for it. You know what I mean?
Oh, but that's on the lieutenant data sheet. That's not on the.
Correct. Yeah. There are a few like you're thinking, but those are mostly in, like, the only place I've seen it is guard.
I could have it too.
Yeah, as I say, it's probably in guard equivalent armies.
So do Necrons.
Okay. Because I think on the guard battle line, I think on their actual battle line data sheets, it has what do you call it? Has a specific call out that lets you like attach like command squads and actual characters. I want to say, or something like that. It's been a while since I read it, but I think it was on the battle line data sheet itself. But yeah, so like I said, there's just not much I can do against that.
Yeah.
It is a very hyper specific threat because they're really.
They have to bring a lot of them too for that, right?
And it was just a 10-man like Terminator squad, which I don't like their Terminator equivalent. I don't know how many points it is. I don't think that's an unusual bring for Votann though.
Well,
and they can deep strike, so you can't really like hide against them very well. Yeah, the trick what I should have done, well, probably got me part of that on that. 'Cause he didn't manage to pull it off with the other squad because I was better positioned. He couldn't get like a line of sight to shoot it very well without. I think he only shot it with a few of them, and then I was able to. I think he charged in with 2 units. He fought with a different unit, so I was able to interrupt. So part of that was just a misplay on his end that let me get into him. Otherwise, they would have still done a number on me at melee. But the other squad, the reason it happened was there was a, say like, here's a piece of terrain, right? I got assassinate turn 1, and he had a character right here on the other side of it. I was like, oh, I can bring them up, charge, kill him, easy 5 points, and then they're like kind of in the terrain. I was like, okay, they're kind of safe from that. I didn't realize the shooting was that scary on them, and 2, I didn't think of the fact they could just drop like over here, and then just shoot me from the open. So in hindsight, I don't think I rolled any for any of the guys in the cover, which I should have, because I would have had a 6-up from the cover save, unless they had something like Norse cover, which maybe they did. Maybe that's why I didn't roll it, because they're Votann. But yeah, that was kind of situations like, well, there's really not much I could do. Hypothetically, what I could have done is just either not let myself get baited like that, the only other option would have been to just redraw the secondary and maybe hold on to it, see if I can get him to charge, and then try and
turn 1, right?
Yeah, I got it my turn 1.
Okay, yeah.
And I think against any other army, I probably would have been okay. It was just that very hyper specific threat that came in, like hard countered that very specific unit that got me. So like I said, otherwise, because like, how many other armies are able to like sit there and wipe out a 20-man unit of Space Marines with 1 unit? You know what I mean? Without exposing themselves, really.
Yeah, it's a tough prospect.
Yeah. But like I said, Matt's fun to play against. Nothing So yeah, like I said, maybe something that's a bit more anti-elite, like if I brought a Vindicator or something. The list also doesn't have a lot of utility units, which isn't necessarily an issue because of how mobile most of the list is. I don't really need like deep strikers because I can get to your side of the board. I
Right.
don't I don't think there was a game where I didn't enter their deployment zone at one point, even if I was playing them
And
defensively.
because you have the fallback and do actions, you have a lot of utility there to, you're not going to get locked down. If you get an action secondary, you just, all right, I'm just going to walk away.
Yeah,
Bye.
exactly. So it's like so I don't think I need like scout like having scouts or something wouldn't hurt to at least like screen out infiltrating threats a little bit. But there's not much you can infiltrate that I'm actually that scared of.
Yeah, most of the time, if something infiltrates, that's just a springboard for you.
Yeah. And I've got enough bodies that's like, okay, even if I fail the charge, I'm okay because you're not either you're gonna like to kill a 20-man unit of Space Marines, you have to dedicate a significant chunk of firepower to pull it off. And you're not making up the points that you're putting into it. You know what I mean? There's no like really efficient shooting outside. Again, one very specific unit apparently. But yeah, so I think maybe bringing in a Vindicator wouldn't hurt because it goes into vehicles and elites pretty well.
Yeah, Vindicator's just a good tank.
It is.
So,
It's just
if
a
you guys are on the in the market for a Space Marine tank, Vindicator's a good candidate.
it's a good all rounder. It's kind of it could I think its points are a little high right now, that's why we're not really seeing it. And it can be swingy. Like it can let you down. When I was running Vindicators, I was running two side by side to where they could either shoot at things independently depending on how it went, or they could make up for each other's shortfalls.
Yeah, it can be a little casino dicey.
Yeah, because like D6, and I think they reduced the number of shots because they used to have more shots. So it's like D6 plus 3, damage D6 has blast, so there's that.
So yeah, casino dicey, but on average, it should sweep.
Yeah, and like I said, with a D6 you can go into elites and vehicles really well, and plus it's like strength 16, so you're winning basically everything, all vehicles on threes and all infantry on twos. So like I said, I'll just have to kind of look at it, see what I can drop, see what I can take. Like I said, maybe drop the assault intercessors. The headhunters are fun, but they're really only good against like Space Marine and weaker equivalents. So I don't think they actually. I don't know if they killed any characters for me that entire tournament.
Yeah, I'm not sure if them murking crude characters gave you a bad expectation, but it sounds like they might have given you a bad expectation.
Well, yeah, so it's just like that's another one where it's casino dicey because it's like because what you're banking on is weight of fire. So like I knew it was less likely to work. I just didn't have a feel for how it like what that looked like in game. So I wouldn't say like killing merc and crew characters gave me a bad expectation. More of just like I don't know. I don't know how to describe it.
Oh well.
Yep, it is what it is. I
Well,
know I did talk.
you placed and you got prize money.
The effort was in fact profitable for once, and I did get yeah Hero Blackheart out of it for like $25 off. So that's nice.
That's pretty good.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Side note: I did hold a poll, and apparently our channel is very excited for the twins.
Oh, what was the poll? I missed this.
Just what they were most excited for with this coming Saturday's releases. So you got the twins, Um, Tyranid Prime with Whiplash or Lash Whip. Excuse me. Not quite sure why I'm switching like this. Sorry. Ugh. Anyway, Tyranid Prime with Lash Whip and Prince Uriel and the new Votann character whose name I can't remember. Stonebrow, but it's not.
I mean, they're all really pretty. I am excited. I'm excited for everybody. Everybody's getting cool things right now.
I feel like I just feel like the Tyranid one is like the most boring, but like it's also a Tyranid
Yeah.
character, so that's not hugely surprising. But the I don't know. I feel like the Votan one is also kind of boring. He's just kind of a berserker, which is like fine.
Yeah,
They don't have a
no,
berserker character, but
yeah, it's nice for them to get named characters because they are so young. They're such a new faction on the scene.
and we've
Already
talked
have
about.
a named character is like, oh hey, there's some more lore we can get.
I mean, we've talked about this before, though. They have a surprising number of named characters for such a small faction.
True, but still,
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
they because I know like they have more named characters than AdMech does, but AdMech also has a lot more years of lore to prop it up.
True. I learned today that Imperial Knights predate AdMech as an army.
Yeah, I guess they do.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
because they dropped in sixth edition.
Yeah, that was like the beginning of the dark times. That was seventh.
I mean, sixth edition was so bad; it's the shortest edition they've ever had.
I guess that's fair, but seventh was so bad that they rewrote the entire game.
Because I watched Snipe and Wib did a video about it. Shout out to them, great channel. Highly recommend if you're interested in the kind of the like history of 40k. But the first Imperial Knights Codex was only like current for a year. And that was it.
Oh, in their defense, that is better than your ninth edition Guard Codex.
That is true. But that also wasn't the first Guard Codex. You know what I'm saying?
Fair.
I think it was funny that the first Knights Codex also only had 2 units. The actual rules section was all of 7 pages.
That tracks.
So apparently, when they first dropped, they dropped with just one with the basic like Questoris model kit, right? But it wasn't even like the full one that we have now. It was
So all you could really do was, yeah, because they didn't have different data sheets for every loadout like they do now. It's
well
just like,
that,
all right,
that's the thing though, they did, but they
oh,
only had the 2 loadouts. You could it was whether you took like the thermal lance, I think, which is like the multi melt option. That was a data sheet with chainsword, and then you had another one that was chainsword with the battle cannon. I think. Like those were the only 2 options you had.
well, that's sad.
Yeah, it was until the next edition that they got like, and like they mentioned other stuff, right? Like they mentioned the lancers, I think the armigers and something else, but like that was it.
Yeah, because I think, oh, if the Lancers already existed for Horus Heresy at that point, I'm not sure on that one.
No, because they didn't come out until after. I know they didn't exist. They didn't exist yet. They kind of did. So like obviously there was the because knights actually are a much older faction than some people realize. They go back to 1990. They were released with the Epic game system. I think they did. Well, I think Sam Wib talked about it too. They said they had there were Eldar Knights and Imperial Knights. And Imperial Knights were actually kind of more like farmers that went to war sometimes, rather than the feudal like actual knights we have now.
Like the one Love, Death, and Robots episode where there's a bunch of farmers with giant mech suits for some inexplicable reason?
Yeah, sure, that.
Okay.
I've never seen Love, Death, and Robots. I've heard it's really good. I need to watch it, but I haven't gotten around to
It's
it.
good, but the first season does rely a lot on TNA to keep you interested, I suppose.
Oh, that's nice.
Second season's a lot better.
I've heard good things about both seasons, so it's on my list. It's on Netflix, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just haven't had Netflix until for a while until recently, so
That's right, Perky. Days Volt, baby. Oh, respectful. Except to the Xenos.
all right. Come together pretty nicely. I think it's any spots I want to do another layer of gold. I don't think so. I think I got pretty good coverage. I'm gonna try and keep them centered, I promise, guys. Um,
Yeah, because I think the introduction of Knights was about when I got out of the game. But I do, like, one of my most memorable 40k moments was at a tournament. All they had left was a Battlesuit Commander, and all they had left was a Wraith Knight, the Eldar Knight.
mhm.
Uh, I had my Battlesuit Commander on a hill, so it
Is that a
was like
special data
a
sheet?
minus. No, no. But, it was a minus to charge, and we had Overwatch. I forget how Overwatch worked then. But they tried to charge me. Because I was on the hill, they had a minus to charge, so they failed the charge. They tried to shoot me. Obviously, opposite order. They missed, so they shot me. They missed. They tried to charge me. They failed. I overwatched him. I did wounds. My turn. I shoot him. I do wounds. His turn. Shoots me. Misses. Charges. Fails. Overwatch. Does more damage. So just like over 2 or 3 rounds, we just did this back and forth. I think I ended up killing the knight, and he just kept whiffing against this lone battlesuit commander.
I will say I do love Imperial Knights. I do love also having the most success on the channel so far with Stormblessed. That was that was fun.
Yeah, yet fun.
Yes, it definitely makes me want to work on mine again more. I've kind of putting it off because I haven't been able to quite pull off my vision the way I want to, but that definitely excites me more to kind of get back to it. I would like to point out I 110% foreshadowed what was going to happen. Early on, I said, yeah, well, what if I like make this charge and then just go around the back line? And sure enough,
Yeah, I mean, because that's what it's going to end up doing, right? Is if you don't kill it, it's just going to go run shot through your back line. However, it can only really kill like one thing a turn.
yeah,
Its
it
shooting
it is
is
limited.
meh at best.
Yeah, it's
But
okay. It
damn, is it satisfying.
yeah,
I don't care how efficient it is. It's just cool.
I really hope it doesn't go to Legends for 40k next edition because I kind of want to get two of the new knight and run like three of them. Run the big lancer and then the two little lancers. Oh, that'd be so much fun. What color next? Never. I want to do this base. I don't really know. Should probably get John's scheme so I can do that.
I actually ordered my bases that I need for my knight for Blackthorn, so I'm waiting for those to come in the mail, and then I'll start building.
Ooh, that's nice. That reminds me, I need to check when the basic material's coming in for these guys. Give me a second. Also, we got 2 new subscribers. Shout out to you guys if you're still watching. Love to see you.
Hello.
Always love when people support the channel. Um, where is it?
Yeah. But speaking of support, how about that 1 year anniversary game? I think everybody that's in chat right now was in there. So what'd you guys think of that? Did you have fun? I had fun.
I have fun. Mostly.
Well, mostly.
They most they mostly come out at night. Mostly.
Mostly.
Where are my orders?
Yeah, no, I had a lot of fun. Um, yeah, I'm not sure when our plan fell apart. I I'm not 100% sure when our plan fell apart. It was somewhere in there. One of the turns, it stopped planning.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure either. I kind of, like I said, like they at some point I kind of like looked away, and I looked back and realized we were actually about to table you. Like I never fully realized that was about to happen until it did.
Oh, I saw it coming. Because, like, I know you're gonna kill a lot of the crew. That's kind of the crew's lot in life. It's just a matter of, can I get enough points before that happens? This time, no.
I mean, you got close. It was only like what, an 8 point game at the end. I think it was.
Yeah, it was really damn close. I think what got us was, because we maxed out on primary, so what got us was like one of the cleanses, and there's one other one that we couldn't do. I don't remember which one that was. I think it was another, I think it might have been sabotage or something, but yeah, no, it's just a good game. And the multiplayer mission set is pretty fun. It's pretty well thought out. The same White Dwarf also has rules for 3 or 4 person free-for-alls, which work pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
But they have some bespoke stratagems to help balance things.
Oh, like what?
I think they have a rewrite for Overwatch, so you can do it every turn instead of just once. Um, there's some to make deals with your opponents. I forget how those ones work, but there's
Yeah,
like
like
some politicking aspects built in.
that's fair. That's how most like free for all games, regardless of game system, like work.
Yeah,
Which makes sense. That's kind of part of the appeal. Because otherwise, you could just do a straight up like 3v3 system and do all that. Or not 3v3 system, just like do a 3 for 3 match. It wouldn't change anything.
yeah. Well, no, that one's fun. We haven't played that in a while though.
That's
But that
true.
is that White Dwarf's a little over a year old at this point, if I remember correctly. We've had it for a minute.
Pretty sure it's older than that, because that's when I was still working on my guard army when that came out. Because one of the first
Uh,
matches we did was
uh yep.
yeah, because that was before I had my shoot. I think that was before I had my Catachan. I think I was still running more like just Krieg stuff. So I remember because I got stuck in my deployment zone. Or no, no,
Yeah,
no,
you
no.
got put. No, you got put in creep
Well,
jail.
yeah, I did. What I meant was that it was after the Codex dropped because I had a Krieg command squad. It's like the only time I've ever run it. Probably the only time I will run it. Not because I necessarily dislike the unit. I don't think it's great, but I also just don't like. I if I'm going to run it, I don't have the actual plastic kit. I would have to run the resin ones, and I just don't like painting the
Uh,
resins. So there we go. Simple as.
Simple as that.
One Fire says, let's see. Just says they tuned in for the whole thing. Thank you, Tristan. That means a lot.
Yeah,
Always fun to
always
have you there.
appreciate you, buddy.
And One Fire said they thought the game was pretty cool. They like seeing 2v2. They are very proud the Space Marines had to come back. Oh, hello. I don't know how to say that name. Wiz Perry? Welcome to the stream. I don't think I've seen you around before. So if you're new, I'm looking at the thing and it's just like side on. If you're new, there we go. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the channel. We're here every Tuesday. Okay, yeah. So they said they just came across this, so they're new. Thank you for the compliment. Feel free to talk, chat. If you got any questions about the hobby, you know, we do full spectrum of it. We build paint on the hobby streams, but we also do actual games every weekend. Hey, another
Yep,
new
this
person.
weekend. Hello.
Welcome to the
Oh, hell
stream as
yeah.
well.
Any lore in particular?
Yeah, what lore in particular has gotten you into? Is it anything specific? Did you discover like a Horus Heresy thing? I think it's was it Wizards and something did a whole Horus Heresy series of videos that I thought was really good. And then obviously you got like Luton's good. Actually, Scott, who is your favorite lore tuber?
I don't actually have one, admittedly. I've only just started listening to Adeptus Ridiculous. Like when I was flying back from Germany. Yeah.
Okay. Fun fact: Depths Ridiculous almost made me crash my car.
Oh,
I was
did they just
driving.
like did they jump out of the phone like ring style and take the steering wheel?
No, they did a series of episodes where they had like a gunshot motif at the end, and I was driving back. I was driving with my nephew back from Oklahoma because he was staying out with us for a week, and like I'm just driving, and I didn't know that was coming, so it's just doo, 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 and like swerved instinctively.
Training kicked in.
Like, apparently, yeah.
Well, whoopsie.
Which total side note, I'm pretty sure I've narrowed down why I have that reaction to certain things. I can go over that later with you, but I had a
That's fair.
realization
That's
earlier
fair.
this week, and I was like, oh yeah, now that I've like mentioned that, that would make sense. That would make sense. Yes, welcome to the stream, everyone who is new. Glad to have you.
You had a battle shock moment.
You must think you're terribly clever, don't you, Tristan?
Nope, Kristen does.
I know it was Tristan. I saw it. I just wasn't
Okay,
acknowledging it yet.
okay. Well, you know.
I'm painting little silver bits. My neck's kind of hurting.
Show you little silver bits.
You promise?
Maybe.
You can't do that. You painted your Necrons white. I think. I forget.
Yeah, the undercarriage is still, they're like skeletons still going to be silver though.
Okay, so you're doing like a wash or a dry brush, not wash, but like a contrast or a dry brush over it then.
Uh, so I started with white, just because white's harder to achieve. So I'm just gonna go under and get the skeleton bits as probably like a dark silver even, almost like gunmetal.
Okay.
So I think it's looking good on the test sculpts. But I might also do some like oil washes with it to try and really go amp up the horror aspect.
That's probably fair. All right, let's see. Shrai says, "Find peeking to 40k and just feel down the rabbit hole of Mechanicus and Dark Mech." So they're still learning the language a bit. Binaric does take a while.
I
Eh,
I had to
eh.
do I had to do binary chanting at work the other week because of a series of unfortunate events of design where I had to build a bunch of commands in binary because we didn't have any tools to actually like build the commands and send it.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to build the individual commands of like flipping bits of ones and zeros, and it was like a 217 line command thing, each with like 32 bits each. So that's That's what's 32 times 217?
Yeah, I just know that at the top of my head.
Like 700-ish?
Price 7 or 8.
Thousand-ish. 6,900.
There we go.
So 6,900
Nice.
bit I had to go through and review. Big AdMech energy.
Do you still have the like book that has the AdMech on the front?
Oh yeah. We have so I'm an engineer. We have on-call binders where, if something goes wrong and we need to get called in. So I put a AdMech, like a tech priest on the front of mine with the little concern over it.
Concerned.
And I also I've worn my AdMech cosplay to the office for Halloween.
That just makes sense. It feels like it. You could
Yeah.
probably just wear it to work and they wouldn't say anything.
Yeah, fair. Fair. I
Let's
actually do
see.
not know Baltimore. Do you know who Baltimore is?
I've watched Baltimore. I like
No.
Baltimore. The problem with Baltimore is that sometimes the short story he does before the lore is longer than the lore. So I don't watch a whole lot of Baltimore anymore, but he's good. I like Baltimore. I think Oculus Imperia is actually my favorite one because he approaches it as like as if he's a scholar in 40K. So his is
Okay.
like from that point of view. So it's always kind of interesting how like he works around things he's not supposed to know or shouldn't talk about. So I think his are my favorite to actually watch. Um, Luton's good. Luton's videos are very long though. Um, I like Adeptus Ridiculous, but I try to stay away from the more like memey lore tubers, but that's just kind of a personal taste at this point rather than anything.
That's fair. I'm gonna be honest. The first lore video I listened to them with them was Trench Crusade, which is very not me.
No, that's fair. And I mean,
Very
like,
serious tone. So I actually haven't heard a lot of memes from them.
well, and also like Trench Crusade stuff is still like pretty new and not like well known, so it just hasn't had time to get super memey. And just like they've been doing 40K lore for like 3 or 4 years now, so they kind of got to get a little memey if they want to keep going. Whispery. If I'm saying that wrong, please just let me know. I'm not 100% sure how you want us to pronounce it. Let's see. Blade's been doing this stuff for a while, gotten me into it. Recently played Space Marines 2, and that's where my interest started. So he's been helping me get info straight, still learning it all. Hey, no problem
That
with
is a
that.
fun game too.
It also really is. Ooh.
I That reminds me, I need to download the patch to add Tech Marines. All right, I kicked that off.
I do want to play Tech. I actually really want to play the Tech Marine one. I've been
Brooke
super
really
into it.
sold me on it, like pre-stream
Oh, did she?
on Saturday.
Um, but yeah, Space Marine 2 1 is really just good. Great game, fantastic. Would have absolutely recommend it to everyone who likes action games. Let me find my cornbread. There it is. Yeah,
I
it's a
thought you
solid
said corn
game.
bread for a second, and I was excited.
I want cornbread. My wife doesn't like cornbread very much. So I don't like make it, but maybe I'll get a pan. Shry says Algo is feeding me Arbiter Ian and Luton 09 at the moment. Like I said, Luton's good, very long. He's very long winded. I don't really watch him, but yeah, nothing. He's still good. He's like one of the best. Arbiter Ian is probably one of my favorites though. But I really like Arbiter Ian because he tends to look into one. He'll go over the lore, right? And he's very, very particular about having sources for when he like talks about stuff. He does like there's a common kind of complaint about lore tubers that they just read off like the wiki, right?
Hmm.
And even like Lexicanum can have stuff on it that's not necessarily true. It's a classic kind of wiki problem. Um, but Arborian's big on
Or the
having
lore is updated over time, so
that too. But sometimes stuff is like on there, but it's not sourced. So it's like, okay, well, is this even like true, or did someone like make this up and it just hasn't been removed, and now people think it's true? You know what I mean? So he's big on like, hey, this is like where it's at. But in addition to that, because he does that, he also does a lot of like retrospectives on like the whatever the concept itself happens to be, if that makes sense. So like he did one, like he's done stuff where he's gone over the Badab war lore, right? But then he's also done stuff where he's like, hey, this is the history of the Badab like war stuff from like the real world. So like how did this story develop like across, White Dwarf getting its own series? How did it change over time? That I think is
oh,
really
that's kind of
interesting.
fun. I do like that.
Yeah, him and Snipe and Wib do that a lot, and I really like them. It's very much an actual like approaching. It's very much a historian approach where it's like, hey, this is like what the sources actually say, and here's the stuff we can kind of draw from that. I really like it. He's one of my favorites by far for that reason. I also really like hold on, lost my train of thought. I had a train of thought and then it left the station.
Choo choo.
Um,
What kind of train was it?
I don't know, Scott. I don't know trains like you.
That's unfortunate for you.
I don't think it is. I don't
I
think
like trains though.
I know you like trains, and I don't think it's unfortunate for you. Mostly, mostly.
Well, no, mostly.
uh, but yeah, I really like Arbiter Ian. He's one of the ones I've recommended a lot. He's actually gotten kind of mainstream a little bit. He was even featured on IGN. Had him come on and answer questions.
Really?
Yeah, for like they did like a 2 or 3 part thing. I think even it was pretty nice. It was nice.
Oh,
Yeah, I liked it. He's definitely one I highly recommend. Um, like one that video he did that was kind of cool is he did before even the new Arbites kit came out. He did a video of them like as like an army and everything. But because he talked about the development of them a lot, he talked about how GW had like a Judge Dredd range. So how it was kind of easy to like, oh well, we can reuse some of these sculpts and change them a little bit to use them for like a police force in 40k and how they like influenced each other. It's very interesting. It's very interesting.
all right. I'll have to watch one. I'll have to check one of those out sometime.
Definitely recommend. He's got. I think he just recently he did. Let's see. Back when Horse Heresy 2.0 came out, he did a whole series on. Oh, what's it called? On each and every like legion. That I thought was really good. When most recently he did one. I think he's done two now. A couple of miniseries. Like one he did about like all the Space Marine chapters in from the Badab War. I think he did another one where he's done like some other chapters. I don't care if that was part of the Badab War one or not. Yeah, I like his videos a lot. He's definitely one of my favorites. He also has a second channel called Arbiter Ian's Precinct House, where he does book reviews with another YouTuber, and he also does A Tale of Four Wargamers, which is kind of like a series that's in White Dwarf, or used to be in White Dwarf a lot, where they
I still have
like.
it in White Dwarf.
Okay, I think it's more sporadic now than it used to be.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't think they necessarily do like as much. But anyway, they just like it's him, you know, three of his friends. They'll pick a game system and they'll build an army for that game system. So it's just like checking in with them every month, like where they're at in that hobby, which is just kind of cool to see. Kind of partly inspired this stream. I'm not even gonna lie. But like they
There's that
did.
Bronze Age army coming.
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
Hey, ask John. He actually bought the army, but
Yeah.
what is it? So they did like Horse Heresy where they all built up legions. They did a Badab War one where they played from kill team all the way up to big 2,000 points 40k with
Oh,
little
nice.
stop offs for like what was it with for combat patrol and like boarding actions leading up to it. So that was kind of cool. Yeah. Sorry, I'm kind of just waiting on this to dry so I can start putting a wash on it. Some of these parts I'm gonna probably not get to tonight.
Fair.
But
Are you gonna run these guys on Sunday? By the way,
hmm,
are you running these guys Sunday? By the way,
what are we doing on Sunday?
uh, it's you and Brooke streaming, if I remember correctly.
Oh, and
You said
probably
you're Black Templar.
that's right. I won't be running these guys. Most will
Okay.
be his. None of these unit. One, I can't even use the librarian, and two, the other ones are Infernus Marines and uh, Terminators. I mean, I guess I could come. I could do the orbital assault force list where you can give Terminator Captain his own Thunderhawk, where he can just do uppy
Okay.
downies all game. That could be fun,
Okay.
actually.
Do you know what else is funny?
What, Scott? What else is funny?
Uh, I
Oh,
remembered. Well, I didn't remember. I checked. What you were playing against. You want to take a guess?
I know it's not Blood Angels, so we talked about not doing 2 Space Marines. What is it? I forget, Scott.
Okay.
Is it really?
It is.
I don't want to play against Votan. I don't want to do it.
Okay. You're fine. You're
You
buff.
can't make me.
I
No, no.
can.
Not if I show up with a
Actually,
guard list.
guess
No.
that's fair. You're still about to fight voting.
Yeah, but then at least if Brooke kills 20 guardsmen, I don't care. That's what they were going to do anyway. Shrai says, so they saw Secret Level, had in the back of my mind, finally started looking around YouTube, and it's been so fun. Awesome. Secret Level is actually a really good animation. Highly recommend Secret Level. If you
Oh,
can
it's sick.
watch some of the Warhammer Plus animations, they have some really good ones. I'm really excited to see that sister ones going forward.
Yeah,
Um,
I need to watch the sister one still.
it's really good. Well, you need to watch it with the girlie because it's literally about her faction. So
That's fair. That's what I'm painting right now.
yeah.
So,
Shrai does also want to know how we picked our first factions. Scott, you're the old head here. Would you like to go first?
so I originally started when I was
A wee lad.
12, I want to say. We're going way back machine. So back
Prehistoric.
then, that was fifth edition, I want to say, fourth or fifth edition. There was a lot less options back then. So originally, as I learned the lore, by like reading friends' codexes and stuff, was I wanted to play AdMech. However, AdMech didn't exist back then. So the other one that
Before
I really
times.
became enamored with was the Tau. I really fell in love with the look of the battle suits. Um, I just thought like they had a very sleek look, very futuristic look. I thought I thought they just looked neat as hell. So that's how I started with, that's how I picked mine. I just thought they looked neat. And then from there I learned how to play them eventually.
I mean, to be fair, their models have held up pretty good.
Yes, though I am glad, I think everything has been updated now, except for the Fireside Marksman. Fireside Marksman is still a pretty old sculpt, but everything else has been updated. Like the Crisis suits originally were very like monopose and just very rigid. So I'm glad that those are much more dynamic looking now. But
I do
yeah,
think they're.
I do. Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I do think the Christ suits are starting to look a little on the small side, but it kind of works since they're the Tau.
Yeah, and I love AdMech. I ever since I was like 15 or like 15, I wanted to be an engineer. So I just like machineries and working with machines. So the AdMech really like leaned into that, and I just really loved the look of them.
I mean, AdMech are fun. Part of me does want to like, especially with the. I love the Skitarii Marshall sculpt. I'm pretty sure I've talked about it before. Um, so there is part of me that would like to run a Skitarii army, but can't really justify another horde army. So I basically
Yeah,
have two.
that's my main issue right now. Is I want an AdMech army, but they are a horde army, so they are a little expensive to run.
And to be fair, that's kind of a recent change for them. That's just kind of how they've ended up due to the recent balancing and stuff. So there's always a chance they could go back.
Yeah, because I got out like 3 months. I got out in seventh edition or late sixth, like 3 months before AdMech were announced, like before they came out. So I came back, it's like, oh, of course they exist now. But when I came back, they were also terribly overpowered and a huge problem. So like, all right, I don't want to be that guy.
If
And
you've
then this
played,
edition, they're a horde army. It's like, I don't want to pay for that right now, especially because like the new edition came out when I bought my house, bought my first house. So like, I'm feeling house poor right now. We're not doing this.
AdMech also one of the reasons that flyers are really bad in 10th edition.
Oh yeah, they were very problematic.
Their flyer being like practically broken in ninth edition. I think was the final nail in the coffin for flyers being competitive. I think after that, GW was like, nope, never again. Which fair, it was really bad. You go to a tournament, and you were basically looking for like, all right, who brought the flyer? All right, they're probably gonna win.
I did see it was like a month or two ago, but there was an actual like tournament winning Tau list. That was their really derpy aircraft, like not the Forge World one, just the regular one.
The
It was
one
the
no one
three
talks
of
about.
them.
I mean, like air, like people have been like, oh, aircraft have been like battle edition, which isn't like untrue, but they have had the occasional list, like the Storm Raven for Space Marines. It shows up every once in a while. I think it won with it recently. Won There was one that did win with one. I butchered that sentence, but we're committed now. Um,
Sure. Yeah, I will say though, if you are looking to get into this wonderful hobby, which we do highly recommend, we love this hobby, hence why we made a YouTube channel.
Clearly,
Um, Models last longer than rules do. Good rules will come
true.
and go. Sometimes your armies will be strong, sometimes they'll be weak, but a cool model is going to look cool no matter what. And if it's something that you love stylistically or love the lore for, don't worry about what anybody says. Just go with it. I mean, hell, that's why we introduced Tristan to Warhammer with Gene Stealers.
Set expectations low.
So I will say
Also, don't say
maybe the
we.
one asked. Well, okay, the royal we.
And don't drag me into this.
The one asterisk being maybe Gene Stealers because they are an incredibly technical army.
Probably
But
Jukari too, unless your name happens
still
to
at
be
the same
Scary.
time, Tristan's been playing them. Tristan loves them. Tristan learns a lot from the game because he's played them, and
Tristan
they
makes them work. I mean,
Tristan makes them work.
apparently so does Jeff. Or at least he makes the Shadow Sword work, is probably the correct way to
Yeah,
put it.
I think it's more of he made a shadow sword work. I think the rest was just happy accidents.
It's incidental. That's how you know you've won when you lose a game, but your opponent's still the one that's tilted. That's how you know you've won the moral victory.
At the end of the day, that's what matters.
I will say for me, my first army was Black Templars. Um, and that really kind of goes back to how I got into. So I'm relatively new to the hobby. I got in back in 2020. I think it was later 2020, mid to late, with the Indomitus boxes. I don't think it was when it dropped, but it was very shortly after it dropped because I was able to pick it up at the local game store. Um, and but I first got into the franchise around 2008, 2009. I think it's about right. Around the point where, uh, yeah, because what I remember was finding out about it in high school. It was probably my freshman year, maybe my sophomore. Finding out about it, and I remember just like going over the old Warhammer website and just looking at all the model stuff. Like, oh, I want this, but it's so expensive because 40K has always had a reputation as a very expensive hobby. Like that's not new. Some people act like that's new. That's new. That is not new. Like,
Yeah,
without
just
getting into like,
inflation has a thing.
yeah, like, I mean it's very much an adult hobby where you kind of need adult money to do it. Um, so I was never able to kind of get into it, but I remember looking over like the Lexicanum a lot, reading over the different chapters. Um, Space kind of fell on Space Marines. Space Marines have like coolest. I feel like they have a lot of variety as well. So I remember it kind of came down to between like Dark Angels and like Black Templars. Essentially, were kind of the two I liked the most. I really like the monastic feel of like Dark Angels. I like their kind of like secret thing. I also like the faction has like three color schemes that you can do, which is also reflected in my Black Templar army now. Where I'll do a couple different schemes depending on units. But I ultimately went with Black Templar just because I have like a fascination with non-standard like military units. So like religiously, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? So like religious units in particular, I find like endlessly fascinating. So that's kind of how I got into it. And I was like, okay. And then like when I got the first models, it's like, oh, well, Black Templars literally all they have to do is prime these guys in black and do the shoulder pads in an off white, and I'm like 90% of the way there. Like,
Oh, the black part of Black Templar and was like, nice.
so that definitely helped too. And like I very specifically do Rathguard flesh instead of a pure white, just because I didn't want to paint pure white because it's a pain in the butt. So that was part of it too. And also kind of getting into the hobby at large. I used to do models when I was like real young. Um, Probably when I was I was probably like 7 or 8, I think. So it's kind of that was part of it too. I really like the actual building aspect of it a lot. So yeah, that's kind of my story in brief. Tristan,
I
side note.
know.
Oh, go ahead. Go
Sorry.
ahead, Scott. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I know Bird picked his first army because he loves Dawn of War. So, his first army was Blood Ravens, which he very passionately painted all his dudes to be Blood Ravens. So yeah, he loves them. That's how he chose his first, was just the faction I loved.
It also scares us sometimes. Oh, I did a different
Well,
one.
you know.
Shoot, it's okay. I did the wrong shade, Scott. I used Adrax. I think on the other ones I used Sepia. Oops. It'll be fine. It looks good. The darker gold. And then you can definitely see this one's a browner. Whoopsie. Yeah, they look okay. It'll be fine. The advantage of the kind of darker wash is that it definitely fills out the recesses a bit more clearly. So I actually do kind of like how that looks, probably a little bit more. I think it comes out more gold when you look at them side by side. Anyway, I was gonna say Tristan, Gene Stealer cults, because they have that revolutionary flair. These guys show up randomly in so many of the books I read. I'm starting to get a little burned out on them, Tristan. I like Gene Stealer cults.
The Imperium sucks, and maybe they got, aside from the being eaten by aliens thing, they got maybe they have some compelling arguments.
I made a comment on a Reddit post recently that was talking about the Imperium and like versus Chaos, right? And like Chaos is bad, right? And I think the analogy that I used was the bar is so low, it's practically subterranean, and yet the Imperium still manages to trip over it. Like in any reasonable setting, Chaos would not be nearly so effective as it is. But the Imperium is just that bad. Both GSC and Chaos cults can thrive, which really says a lot about the Imperium. Actually, Tristan, fun fact, and I think it's in Hell's Reach, there is actually a union that shows up and plays a small role in the actual Battle of Hell's Reach, which is kind of funny. At some point, I think Grimaldus has to sit and listen to union complaints, and he just hates his life. Like, mind you, this is after like hearing a whole bunch of other statistics he doesn't care about. I think like he mentions
Not
it.
really a statistics guy, if I had to guess.
Not specifically.
He's no Ultramarine.
Ugh. Oh. But G-Steel cults are fun. They just have a tendency to show up in a lot of novels. At least lately to me, it feels like. But that's neither here nor there. They're still fun. Doesn't make them bad or anything. But Tristan does touch on something that is really interesting. One kind of the best ways to like build your army is to have that like lore component. Even if you're not playing specifically narrative, even if you're not doing Crusade or anything like that, just having these like lore concepts is something that can really help like deepen your army a lot.
Yeah.
Like Space Marine. Go ahead.
And there's nothing wrong with using a pre-established lore either. Like.
Yeah, and I mean you can do both. I mean that's kind of what I play Black Templars. It is a pre-established chapter. A lot of the stuff was like locked in. Like I can't change the lore for Helbrecht or Grimaldus or anything, but you can still tell your own stories with that. Like I mentioned earlier, where I've done a few different color schemes from the Black Templars. The base one, we got this Hellblaster here. It's just like, this simple dude, right? Just a simple Black Templar Hellblaster, Black Army, White Pauldrons,
Just good
Bone
old simple
Grialis.
Steve.
Yeah, simple. But I also have I have like the Sword Brethren, right? None of my Sword Brethren are actually in black. They are their own like unique thing. So I have bronze and gold ones because they are Helbrecht's personal guard. So they match his color scheme a little bit, but they're more like bronze rather than gold. I also have one that's in all silver because the lore there is I had a blade guard that killed the Catan Shard of the Voidbringer. So he became uh, Siegfried the Dragon Slayer. So in the lore, he got his own, in my little lore, I should say, he got his own Sword Brethren squad that he leads, and they all were silver to mark them as like monster hunters. And then, like, kind of going a little further, I even have all my Furnace Marines are actually in red because they follow Cult of the what's the word I'm looking for? Cult of the Redemption.
Cult of the Burner Rating.
Yeah, which is actually a faction from Necromunda that shows up in Big 40K every once in a while. And so my lore there is that they're Infernus Marines, they like fire. They kind of, because they're Black Templars and are already predisposed to being particularly religious, they fell to that cult. And so they follow that specific cult within the confines of the Black Templars and run their own units. There's a lot of different ways you can really like spice things up, even using pre-established lore. And granted, Black Templars do have the advantage where they're a little more loosey goosey with things. They run their own heraldry. Each crusade is kind of its own little mini chapter, and they kind of do their own thing. So there's that. Some factions are a bit more specific, but you're really not going to run into too many bulk counters in 40k. More likely in 30k, if anywhere, but not in 40k for the most part. So yeah, there's me yapping about my Crusades lore for a minute there.
Yeah. And then Tristan also has an excellent point where it doesn't have to be in universe. He has black metal fangirls because he's a black metal fangirl himself. And they look sick. They look great.
Yeah, they absolutely do. Hopefully we'll have sisters on the channel at some point. Even if they're just Scott. Scott, you could literally just paint up the sister squad that you bought for yourself to run as agents a year and a half ago. Or are you doing it in the same scheme?
Yeah, just doing the same scheme so she can use them whenever she wants to.
I guess that's fair.
I didn't have too much of other ideas.
I think that's fair enough. If I was gonna do mine, I'd do that. If I was to do some, if there's any faction that I might end up starting, it's probably sisters, just because of the previously mentioned religious army thing, which we are not going to dig into on stream.
We're not unpacking that right now?
No, we're not going to unpack that. Ever.
Okay, just checking. Oh, okay, that's fair.
But yeah, like I've been tempted to pick them up occasionally to run as agents, since I haven't gotten around to it. I do. Part of me does really want. I mentioned a couple times on the Discord. By the way, if you're new, we have a Discord. The link should be down in the description below. You're more than welcome to join us. We love talking to you guys there. We do votes there as well for various important things. Anyway, what I was gonna say was I have been very tempted to get the Banner Girl and like paint her up kind of like Joan of Arc to use as a Crusade Ancient, which is a unique character in Black Templars.
That is a good sculpt to Thalia, I want to say.
Yeah, she's getting a book, actually.
No kidding. Good for her.
They announced it relatively recently. But yeah, that's one I'm very much looking at. Probably do it in a silver with probably an off-white banner, I think. Is the one that Joan of Arc used, but I'm not 100%. That is, of course, also the other thing, is you can take a lot of uh, historical inspiration. The kind of people that tend to do that end up playing guard.
No.
I know, who could have
Okay.
possibly foreseen this?
Yeah, I think it was Jonathan originally said he wanted to make his GSC Les Mis themed.
I think John's mentioned that. That sounds about right. I'm not entirely sure how he'd pull that off.
A lot of French. Yeah, Astrid Thurga. That's the one, Tristan. See, I knew I could count on you.
See a lot of French what?
A lot of French flags. I don't know what else.
I know we
Flugelies, baguettes.
I know we talked about this last time, I think, or maybe the time before that. But the story behind the actual like writing of Les Mis is still deeply hilarious to me.
Like, oh, geez, that's horrifying. I could write a book about this. And sewers.
Just realized I didn't have the background music on. Sorry, everyone. I'm literally caught behind a pillar trying to get shot. Ooh, I can make a book out of this. How you know a man is a true writer. Oh, we have a pup on pup cam.
Sucks.
I didn't even see her. Hi, are you guys? Oh, such a good girl. Have you seen the history of the world, I guess?
No, I don't think so.
It's a YouTube video. It's pretty short. I think it's like 10 minutes at most, if that. Probably closer to 5. Oh, that's what we're doing. He's talking over the history of the world, and I think at one point he's talking about the history of France, and he's like, "Oh, someone new's in charge. Oh, they got beheaded. Oh, someone new's in charge. They got beheaded." And there's like a running joke where like something happens, and he's like, "Oh, you can make a religion out of this." And it's like obviously a real religion, you know. And so he gets to like the reign of terror from the French Revolution, where like someone's getting guillotined. He's like, "You can make a religion out of this." Wait, don't. It's deeply hilarious. There's another section where it's like, "Hey, China's fixed again. Oh, China broke again. Hey, China's fixed again. Oh, China's broke again."
Oh no.
It's a pretty funny video. I'd highly recommend it. Sorry, I'm just looking up paint. I need, because Celestial Lions are very specifically African inspired, so I need to do a darker skin tone. And I feel like the one I did last time, this one, I feel like it gave a bit more of a tanned effect than I strictly want. I want a little bit darker. So
The painting masterclass on Warhammer TV, not sponsored. Does have
but Warhammer, if you're listening, just throwing that out there.
They do have a really good tutorial for that.
That would make sense. Okay, I don't have a Catachan flesh tone. I'm sure they do. It's just a matter of like, do I want to do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you want to go that detailed.
Yeah, I love the Citadel Master classes. I will say,
Masterclass, yeah.
they're really good. However, they are also like very in depth. Like,
Full tilt.
yeah, you have to like commit to it. I did it for my Eisenhorn mini for his cloak. Just his cloak was just a series of like highlighting, glazing, blah blah blah. That took like literally like an hour and a half, and it's just one part of the mini. It does look great. However, I don't want to do it. Though I will say, even if you don't like use the full like method, it does help introduce some kind of like interesting effects. I haven't done it with this guy. I don't know if I will yet or not, but one thing I do a lot if I want to give a more tattered appearance to like a cloak that I picked up from that was just like stippling your brush kind of like in corners like this, that it just creates a more kind of rough effect, and it softens up that corner a little bit. And so, like I said, even if you don't necessarily use the full scheme from a masterclass, like it can introduce interesting techniques. And I would like to hope that this stream will do that too every once in a while. Even though I will admit, I'm not a particularly great painter. Okay, I'll try this one with a Mornfang brown. It's a little darker. Mornfang, you're right outside. You Mornfang. You are.
Are you my Mornfang?
Will you be my Mornfang? I don't know where I was going with that. That was all I had.
I was curious what the next line was going to be, but
I've been never mind. That Mornfang is dry, so we're not going to worry about the skin tone tonight.
okay.
I think I've had that bottle since I got into the hobby. About 6 years ago now. So that's I had a good run.
Had a good run.
Thank you, Wanting Fire. Hoffman does me a lot. I think I'm okay. I think I do good. Especially now that I'm kind of at the point where I'm not like building up an army to like play anymore. I'm able to take there is very much a like, hey, I already got an army together. I don't need to put in as much. I can put in more effort now. I'm not building up anymore.
Yeah, you don't feel like you're rushing to get that first 2,000 points fully painted.
And yeah, 2,000 points, or even like going beyond that and just like getting specific units where like I just really want to play with this. So you're kind of like doing it a little quicker. I talked about it on previous streams with like the Tech Marine. Like I already have a Tech Marine. I didn't need a second Tech Marine. But I had an idea of that I thought was for a cool kit bash. And I was like, okay. Well, I'm kind of at the point in my Black Templar collection where I'm not buying stuff because like I need it for the collection, or I like need it because it's good, or I need it because I want to play it. I'm just buying and kit bashing stuff because I think it looks cool.
Yeah, you want to kit bash the most tired man in the Black Templars chapter.
I really, really want a book or a short story now based around a Black Templar Tech Marine. Because like Tech Marines are always already in kind of like an awkward spot in most chapters, right? Where they're like kind of a priest of Mars. They're not like fully trusted. They've been away for like up to 30 years. Like they're like kind of outside the chapter a little bit now. The Black Templar wants to just add an extra layer where it's like, well, the Black Templar is already religious. So on some level, the fact that he's like a priest isn't necessarily a big deal for them. Right? Like that part alone is. The fact that he's like been away and stuff is still like a problem. But it's just like a slightly different dynamic. And it's like, okay, well, what if some of the Black Templars start following more of the Tech Marines, like the religion of Mars, more than their version of the Imperial cult? Like, what does that look like? You know what I mean? I really,
it probably looks like violence.
I mean, not to get any spoilers, but I'm reading Throne of Light from the Indomitus Crusade series, or whatever it's called. They're going to a Black Templar fleet that something mysteriously happened to the torchbearers that brought like the first Primaris reinforcements, and I suspect that might be it. So that should be interesting. Shry says, do you have a go-to video you like on learning the game part or just watching battle reports? I feel like learning to play. If you're wanting to like learn to play. Probably, I think Play on Tabletop has a few title learning to play series, like when the edition came out. You can probably dig that up. There might be some that have come out recently that are better at it. I would watching battle reports can be good as you're learning to play, but I do feel like you need a little bit. And I'm saying this even as we are a battle report channel. We do battle reports every Sunday for 40K. I feel like just watching regular battle reports are a bit better if you have a little bit of a base understanding of what's going on.
Yeah.
So you're not totally lost. It's very, because like I said, I didn't get into the game for the better part of well over a decade, right? And I did try to watch battle reports there, and I could sometimes watch the whole thing and not get bored or anything like that. But I never really understood what was going on because I didn't play the game. I never really watched how to play the game. So it was very much I was watching it for the people that were playing a bit more than the game itself a little bit, or at least the concept of the game. So I think I would recommend just checking out a few like kind of the how to play ones where they break it down, they move slower, they like explain more. and then kind of jumping in, which kind of like, okay, I kind of got it. At least have a feel for the game a little bit. And then watching battle reports, being like, okay, so that's what this is. Now I have an idea of what's
Yeah,
going
once you
on.
have the foundational knowledge.
And I know I can speak for like us, and I'm sure this goes for other channels as well. We do try to like walk through what we're doing and why we're doing it a lot of the time, but that just goes. It's hard to like constantly do that. So I know
Yeah.
we forget from time to time, or it's like, well, we're like 3 turns into the game. We're kind of just trying to get through it a little bit. Plus, if you're
I
live
have a
streaming,
good one for Horus Heresy, but
yeah,
we didn't have the forethought to do one for our main game. But there is a new edition of 40k coming out probably in the next year. I wouldn't expect that to be a huge change in rules, so don't let that like dissuade you or anything. But I feel like maybe it'll be a good idea for us to do like a little learn to play with that new edition once it comes out.
yeah, I think that's something I was going to bring up as we got closer to it. But yeah, that's one thing that'll definitely be interesting. That's another reason to kind of not get too invested in rules right now. Is this one is expected to be a smaller change. Usually they'll do like relatively big change and then iteration on that. 10th edition was a relatively big change, so we're expecting 11th to be kind of more like 10.5 slight changes.
Yeah, a lot of like rules refinements and whatnot.
Rules refinements, probably unit data sheet abilities will change, stuff like that. So, kind
Like I
of
said, cool models are forever.
very true. Tried to say they play Magic. They're kind of curious about the edition shifts. It's definitely so. I don't play Magic. Scott plays Magic lightly. You mostly play it with like the girly, right?
Yeah, and some other friends. I'm just getting into Command. I just got into Commander this past year.
Isn't Commander like partially pre-built?
They sell pre-constructed decks, so
Okay.
it's like, all right, here's your deck already built for you, but then you can like you can change it how you want, or you can build one from scratch. So I've actually gotten to the point where I've built my first deck,
Yeah.
yeah. So the editions change about every 4 years.
3 years.
Usually they're not like usually it stays with like the core concepts, right? There's a movement phase, there's a shooting phase, there's different phases, and it's a game where your opponent does their entire turn, and then you do your entire turn, or vice versa. However, there are small incremental changes over time. These are very similar to like the sets whenever an army gets a new rule. So it adds changes to the game in the fact that this one particular faction is getting an update.
Yeah. And they do little balance passes and stuff too. In 10th edition, we've seen more like bigger changes in balance passes than we did in 9th. In 9th, they didn't really change abilities very often.
Yeah, but they're very good about being proactive about balancing this game.
Yeah, they work pretty hard at it.
They want the game to be approachable. They want the game to not be miserable to play competitively.
Yeah. What's the word I'm looking for?
Waterloo.
Yes. Side note, we just finished Bridgerton and the new season of Bridgerton. It still makes me laugh so hard. The fact that, all this like drama and romance is happening while in the background it's in the middle of the Napoleonic Wars.
Yeah, because the girlfriend just showed me the first half of the first season.
Oh,
they
okay.
said how they were with one of the romantic interests were off with Wellington. It's like, oh, that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Got it.
What's funny is that doesn't really come up in the rest of the seasons. It's really just a plot point in that first one. So it's just kind of funny. Because I'm a big I really like watching, it's called Sharp. It's a book series that's been going on for a while. It was also a TV series kind of back in the 90s, I think early 2000s is when they kind of ended. That stars a young Sean Bean, one of the few series in which he does not pass away. So it's funny knowing that those two series are happening at the same time. It gets me every time. Gets me every time. Yeah. But yeah, Warhammer editions change about every 3 years. Is the kind of their current cycle. It'll be like that until. No, it's 3.
I thought it was 4. I thought because it usually coincides with the Olympics year.
It didn't last time.
Well,
that was 2023.
Well, usually it used to be every 4 years.
It's been 3 since I think at least 8th edition is my understanding. Yeah, because the last one was 2023. 2020 was 9th edition's launch. 2017 was 8th edition, which I only know because it launched while I was at basic training, and like 8th edition in particular was a lot of lore changes, right? Like it's been like for anyone that hasn't been in the 40k scene since like that wasn't in it pre 2017. Yeah, like basically me and Scott probably on this stream, and probably Perkysaurus or someone else. One of the biggest memes was literally the fact that GW would never advance the storyline. One of the biggest memes was that M41999 was chock full of events because GW wouldn't go into the next millennium because it would mean they'd have to actually advance the storyline. And then I left for basic training, and then they did. And I got back out of basic training. I was like halfway through it, and someone else was like, "Oh, you didn't hear." I was like, "Hear what?" He's like, "Gilliman's back." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah." And there's like new Space Marines. I was like, "New Space Marines?" He's like, "Yeah." And it was, my mind was like blown. Like, that was a weirdly prophetic coincidence. But yeah, so it's like about every 3 years. And then, like I said, big change, minor change, big change, minor change. They also do a animated trailer for each new edition, which is cool. So we should see
what this one is.
Decent chance we see it this month. Granted, you and I will be on the road, but you know, be literally driving to Adepticon. All right. Let's see. It's about 9:30. Anything else I want to do to this guy before we call it a night? How are you doing, Scott? You getting everything done you thought you might get done?
Yeah, I'm just doing leather work now, so filling in some more of the details for the sisters. Then after that, I can start painting the rest of them. So right now I'm just doing a single squad. I'm gonna try and do a lot more of them assembly line painted once I have like all the concepts done and I'm happy with them.
Yeah, you kind of gotta get a feel for what the process might look like, and then kind of go from there to really start effectively batch painting, as I learned with the my Imperial Guard. If you want to get good at batch painting, you want to get good at painting a lot of people quickly, just buy an Imperial Guard army. You'll have to do that. It's adapt or die. Like, you either learn how to batch paint effectively, or you just don't never have a guard army. The trick is contrast paints. And a bunch of
contrast paints are such a game changer.
Contrast paints and a bunch of guys that are all in jumpsuits.
Easily one of the best products Games Workshop's put out in the last decade.
Honestly, and it's a big game changer too. Like, it's genuinely a game changer, like, in the market. Because, like, some word I'm looking for, like, army paint, like, other companies have started to release equivalents of speed paint, or of contrast paints.
Yeah.
Like,
and even
speed
if you're
paints.
not doing the contrast painting method for the entire thing, they are a very useful tool in the toolbox. For doing things like robes or other, like, more organic things that flow a lot more than, like, an armor does, per se.
Snakebite, they're really good for stuff that's not flat. I guess Terminator's not necessarily the best example, but like you can see right here, he has this really big, like, flat piece. Contrast wouldn't look super good on that, just because it's very loose and wet. But like up here on Sequilla, where it has all... I'm sorry.
No, nothing. Move on.
No, I refuse. Um, but meanwhile, this Aquila, it has all these little indentions and stuff, which makes it a good target for shading as well. But also, contrast would go really good onto this. Because contrast really just like... Because like what I'm doing right now, this would be just like the base layer, right? And then I would kind of... Did I do any edge highlighting yet? I don't think I really have. But so like I did the base layer, then I did the shade, and then I guess I did a little bit of edge highlighting back here with the same color after I shaded it, where I kind of went over and hit the high points with a very heavy one. Contrast does all of that in one step. Let's see here. I did these guys in contrast, the darker one, so it's not as evident, but you can kind of see a little bit kind of how like in the deeper parts of his robe. If I can pull up a little closer, maybe. There we go. You can kind of see in the deep parts of the robe it's darker, while in the higher parts it's lighter. That's because contrast is very thin, so it flows into those deeper parts and kind of settles there, while leaving a lighter part. So that basically does your shading when it flows in the deeper parts, and your highlighting when it leaves the kind of lighter part. This one doesn't show it as well, just because Flesh Terror Red is a very dark contrast, and contrasts tend to work best when they're lighter, but it's very quick. Shrai says, this figure looks cool. Thank you. This is the Terminator Captain, specifically the one from the Leviathan box. I'm doing him up, setting him for the Combat Patrol. They do sell one separately. It's the same unit, same data sheet and everything. It just has a slightly different pose and a couple different weapon options. Yeah. He also asks, so all this armor starts to get easily recognizable to you? Yeah, very much so. Space Marines are the ones that kind of have like the most variety of armor, but they're all relatively distinct. Because there's like basic Space Marine armor, like this guy has. Yeah, basic, nothing fancy. This guy is in Terminator armor, which is kind of like a heavy assault armor. And then there's also like little variations where you have Gravis, which is somewhere between Terminator and the one I just showed. Then like Phobos, which is kind of a light stealth armor, if that makes sense. Then of course there's different marks of Space Marine armor that can get kind of confusing to go over. But they all have their own visual like distinctiveness, even though they're all part of what's a cohesive whole. So yeah, you just kind of pick it up with time and get used to telling the difference.
Well, they are Games Workshop is very good with their design team of having every unit and like different units look distinct, but still matching the design aesthetics of the faction.
Yeah, and
so they're unique but uniform.
Yeah, GW is very good about establishing a design language for a faction and following it. So much so that when they did introduce the new Space Marines, the design language was sufficiently different enough from the older Space Marine models that it upset some people. So not getting too into that here, but that was I don't call it an issue, but for some people it was.
I refuse to be a rage bait channel, Brenden. I refuse.
I'm not rage baiting. I'm just teaching the controversy.
Crash out. I'll do it.
But yeah, there's a lot of them. They're very distinct on it. Also, side note, most of the time people can only tell the difference between like Space Marine weapons and armor and kind of like Imperium at large. If you're playing a Xenos faction, outside of like an obvious one of like a Fire Warrior versus a Crisis suit, no one knows the difference for the most part. So don't worry about it. Like, I can guarantee you right now that there are Tyranid weapons that John can't tell you the difference between. And John likes his Tyranids.
But all the units are distinct at least. It's just their loadouts are...
They start to look very samey because they're very organic, and there's only so many ways you can do that.
Yeah.
And like, but generally speaking, for like the Xenos factions in particular, if you don't play that faction, you probably can't tell the weapons apart for the most part. Some are kind of obvious, but a lot aren't. And yeah, like I'm sure Scott can tell the difference between a lot of Tau weapons.
Oh, I think I could probably tell you all of them. honestly.
Yeah. At this point, Scott can probably tell him. I cannot. I can probably, base out a few different ones, but besides that, I can't.
All right, new shorts idea, Brendan. I'm going to update you to a chair and show you a slideshow of Tau weapons until you learn them.
But it's Tao. If you pronounce it right, then I'll do it.
I'll give you a kick in the ass if you keep that up.
Bring it on.
I got long legs. I can reach.
Can't buy me hot dog, man. I'm an adult. Little lonely island for all the other millennials in chat. Side note, do your backs hurt too? Mine does.
Mine does, but that's because my posture's terrible.
I mean, that too. I mean,
I'm so glad I have a standing desk at work.
I need to use my standing desk more. I need to exercise more in general, to be honest.
You're telling me the elevator's been broken at our office for like a month, and we're on the 3rd floor. So every morning it's like,
That's why I'm glad technically I'm on the 3rd floor. However, the entrance is actually on the 2nd floor because it's kind of built into the side of a hill a little bit. So like the basement, or like the 1st floor is kind of sort of a basement, even though it does like come out on ground level on one side. But I'm also like, either I weigh more than I think I do, which I can admit is a possibility because I've had a very sedentary job for 6 months now. But also just like, every time I step into the elevator, it like drops. I can feel it like dip a little bit before like it kicks in and lifts up. So like, I'm either going, like I'm going to get stuck in this elevator at some point. I am positive of it.
We've had people stuck in our elevator for like an hour at work. We have a whole charge line for being stuck in the elevator.
I'm just hoping that when it inevitably happens, because I can tell you right now, I'm not going to attempt to leave until the fire department gets there. No, I don't care if it's even like obviously I could like safely leave. I am milking it for all it's worth. But I just hope when it inevitably happens, because I'm fairly convinced it will at this point, I do have my phone charged before I set foot in that elevator. Because if I get stuck in an elevator,
I have an empty bladder.
That too. I mean, I have experience with holding it for a very long time. I'm fairly confident in my ability to do that.
That's fair. That is fair.
I developed that skill. It's probably not ultimately good for me, but I have that skill. Oh, Shry says he hates elevators, or they hate elevators. I don't know your situation. The elevators make me moderately nervous sometimes, but most of the time I'm okay.
Well, I've been in a falling elevator and didn't die, so I can attest the same elevator as before. I can attest that the safety features are pretty good.
They do have a lot of like fail safes in like the actual meaning of the word, not in the way it tends to be used. Or if it does fail, it is designed to fail in such a way where it is safe. Like fail safe is one of those words that's like moderately used wrong. Not often, but occasionally. Ooh, sorry, I just punched it. It's gonna shake around. Need to
Punch it, Chewy.
Reconfigure this a smidge. Alright, good enough. Bladder holing and the ability to sleep almost anywhere. I am an absolute expert on just finding a way to sleep. I can't sleep sitting. The only thing I can't do, the only position I cannot sleep in, I cannot sleep with my head up. My head has to be down. My head can be on a rock or a solid slab of metal. I've done that. But it has to be down. I don't know why, but I cannot sleep with like sitting up. I have to be like leaning against something. I've seen other people do it. It is just not a particular skill set of mine.
I could do it easy. You know, as soon as the plane takes off, I'm usually out cold.
Actually, I can kind of do it in a plane. I just either need to be like against a wall or like have one of those neck pillows, which I guess I haven't actually used on a plane, but I've used it before, so I know I can fall asleep with it. But I have to like lean against something. I can't be in like the middle seat, you know? I guess, of course, it should be stated that that sort of thing does tend to be a little like dependent on how tired I am.
Fair. But I will say, little known fact, the headrest on a lot of airlines, I don't know if it's like all of them, but a lot of at least US airlines, the headrest actually folds in, so you can have that support on your left and right side of your head.
I think I've done that before. I could be wrong. I don't take a lot of late night flights, so.
I learned it by accident because I'm so dang tall. I had to raise the headrest, and then the sides folded in. It's like, oh no, did I break it? Oh no, I was meant to do this. Okay.
Yeah, I will say the headrest is like the one area of like airplane design where they've allowed us to still have comfort.
Even then, they try to push it.
They push it. They can't push it as far is the main thing, I guess. Did you ever see the proposal for the various standing airplane seats?
Yeah, I think it was Spirit Airlines wanted to do.
It would be Spirit.
I know Airbus patented a couple of those like really hideous ones just so that nobody can use them.
It's a European company, so somehow that tracks.
It's like, nope, 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 not dealing with this.
I do think it's, to be fair on that, and it's really not the airplane company itself that wants that. It's the...
Oh, it's usually the airline, but there's a trade-off too, right? Like, every person you put in there messes up the center of mass of the airplane, which changes its flight characteristics. And how you load people up is also important because that'll move the center of mass, which also messes up its flight characteristics. So,
I do think that's one thing that people have kind of forgotten a little bit, just because it's not as big a deal as it used to be with modern aircraft, you know?
a lot of it is fly-by-wire, so most of the time it's the computer doing all the work. But
Yeah, the computer's just automatically adjusting it, and... Well, I mean, just like... more modern designs are just more capable. Like, you know, if you got up and walked around a prop job in the 1920s, you can genuinely have a serious effect on it. You know what I mean?
well, yeah,
You
but
stand
at
up on
that
any
point,
passenger.
you're such a larger percent of the mass
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm
moving
saying.
around than you are on like the A380 or one of those other gigantic aircraft.
Hasn't the move lately been moving towards smaller, like, regional jets, from my understanding? Or at least it was for a while.
Not regional, but like because I know Boeing has stopped making the 747.
And that was a while ago now.
Instead they have but now they have like 787s, which they're small airplanes, but they're still capable of doing those transatlantic flights.
Yeah, I guess...
And it takes like 2 of them to do the amount of people for a 747, but it's just that much more efficient that thing's doing that's cheaper than the single 747.
Yeah, I guess that's what I meant. Not necessarily regional in the terms of, like, range, but regional in terms of capacity.
Oh, okay.
I guess what I'm kind of saying, it's more... Modern planes are more akin to regional jets of old than they are to, like, 747s. That size aircraft is the standard. Regional is not the term, but that's the way I'm thinking of it in my head.
Right, how late we going tonight, Brenden?
I was actually going to ask that. We're at 9:50 already. I thought we were closer to 9:30.
Nope. I just finished painting the leather, so
I'm just kind of
right here.
Yeah, I'm kind of in a good spot too. I was just doing some edge highlighting. So, well, Scott, if anyone has any questions, now's kind of the time to ask them. If you have any final things you would like to know about, as I'm turning away from the camera because I'm used to having it over here. I just This is literally the second stream that I've had it over here. See if you have any questions, any last minute stuff. Now's probably the time as we kind of wind down for the night, get to about 10 o'clock. We appreciate having you here too, Shrive. Yeah, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Scott, do you kind of want to go over what we've got going on for the rest of the week?
Yep. So for the rest of the week, we only have one additional stream this week. We have a Sunday stream of 40k. That'll be Brenden versus Brooke. As of right now, that is slated to be Black Templar versus Votan, but you know, we'll let you guys know if that changes. And then we have some studio work that we are doing this weekend to hopefully bring you guys some fancy new terrain to mix things up a bit more. Then next weekend we do have a double stream weekend where we'll be having our Saturday side quest. Not this weekend, but the following weekend. Having our Saturday side quest of Age of Sigmar, followed by another regular Sunday 40k game. And of course, catch us next week on Tuesday, here hanging out, doing some hobbying.
Yeah, doing the hobby stream. Once again, thank you all so much for coming out. I turned away from the camera again. Thank you all so much for coming out, enjoying this. Said it before, I'll say it again. This stream in particular is a baby of mine. I'm always very happy to see you all here. We should actually be here in a month or so, I think. Getting on to 1 year of this stream as well. So that's kind of weird to think about since it's been a side project for so long. So shout out everyone that came out. Like I said, saw a couple of new faces. Nice to see you, Shry. The other one, sorry, let me scroll up to you. I don't know if you're still here or not, but Wizpery, I think that's how you have to say it. Thank you for coming out as well. It's always nice to see new faces, and of course the old faces. You guys are awesome. We love you a lot.
Of course, if you haven't already, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.
I was gonna say
Push all the buttons.
We got
except for the unsubscribe button, unless you follow that up with the subscribe button.
I do have one request. I did notice we got 4 new subscribers today. That's awesome. That's a lot for particularly the stream in particular, since it tends to be smaller. If you found this on through like live on Shorts, let me know. If you could like leave a comment, like an actual comment, not just in chat, saying you did so, I would actually greatly appreciate that because this is the first time we have tried it. So I was
doing market research.
Yeah, it's kind of curious to see how effective it was. But yep, as Scott said, we will see you all again on Sunday. We'll be back here next Tuesday. Thank you all so much for showing up. It means a lot to me. I think it means a lot to Scott, I presume.
Yeah, I guess.
It means a lot to Pupper because she gets to sit there on the bed. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much for coming out. We will see you again later. Have a wonderful night, and bye-bye. I gotta like wave, look at the camera, but also
Everybody,
go over here.
have a good night.
Bye.